Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Before I answer the question, Honourable Speaker, I wish to wish Fiji a happy International Day for Persons with Disabilities, currently being celebrated around the country, and this is spearheaded by our organizations for people living with disabilities and the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. Right now, our children living with disabilities are celebrating at Lawanga Park in Singatoka as the main event. Especially there is a night program as well planned for them. I want to thank the Disability District Committees in Singatoka, Nandi, and Lautoka, and also their parents and guardians and children for putting together the program, as well as our donor partners who have come forward to celebrate with them. Honourable Speaker, the core responsibility for any child is the parent. And we live in a society where our people are embedded in our religious teachings, despite what that faith is, or ethnicity or gender of the child. It is still the core institution in protecting the child, and that is the family. So when this crucial structure fails, then it's for the community or the village or the Matangali, the Vusa, wherever we live, has to step in and take care of the child. Honourable Speaker, as alluded to in the question, when children leave their homes and come into towns and cities and become homeless, this is of grave concern, and community members continue to flag this with the ministry and in the media and in the government in terms of what do we do with these children. Honourable Speaker, we as the ministry are working on all levels, and this is not anything new for the ministry or this government. It has been done by previous governments. There is an interagency for children, as well as line ministries that are working together, especially coming together for child protection, because when a child is homeless, of course, their protection and safety is first and foremost. Given the complexity surrounding this, where there's a tussle between what government can do, what our child protection officers can do, versus the primary responsibility and duty with the family or with the parents, we have had to bring in, of course, the assistance of the community in terms of where do we draw the line, how do we take care of our children while their parents or guardians are still alive, still around. It is very different, of course, as you know, for children who are orphaned and are not taken care of. They become wards of the state, and we can place them in homes where they can be taken care of. So often we see this tussle when we take children in and we place them in homes. Family members will come and take them away, or family members feel embarrassed that their children are at the homes and come and take them away, but not necessarily providing the care that they need. So, Honourable Speaker, we have collaborated, as I mentioned. There is an actual task force set up for street dwellers, for especially our children, working with UNICEF in the last year and identifying reasons for why they've moved to the streets and choose to live on the streets. I think I've mentioned that a few times now in terms of the associated issues with children living on the streets, whether it's abuse, whether it's drug use, whether it's just a lack of interest in education or being at home, or neglect. Our ministry has seen a higher cases reporting on child neglect rather than child abuse. So children are being left unsupervised. So they find friends and comfort living on the streets rather than living at home. Honourable Speaker, no matter how much of awareness programs we run as ministries, no matter which ministry, we still come back to the setting of the home and what is lacking in terms of what children need. Thank the support of our CSOs who are working with us, Empower Pacific, Medical Services Pacific, Save the Children, Aruka, Fiji, and of course Inspire Pacific and the Salvation Army, who are providing support and assistance for these children. And many churches and communities as well are taking in these children to take care of them. But it's obviously not long-term or in a process that is complete to see their rehabilitation and reintegration back into their families. A few things that we have done in the last year, Honourable Speaker. I think this may answer the question 285 as well on Wednesday, so asked by the same honorable member. Number one is, as I mentioned yesterday, Salvation Army has opened a shelter, working with street dwellers, street kids that they've taken in. And so we thank Salvation Army for that. As you know, in the current budget year, there was a commitment in terms of starting a child well-being center in Vunirewa, in Serua. And there was a commitment of about $230,000. That is obviously taking a longer process, because if we are to include a clinical component in this child well-being center for children to be rehabilitated from drugs, it needs to go through a thorough process of calling for proposals from private sector or clinics that have done this, or have done this, whether it's obviously overseas, because we've never done this in Fiji for children. So it takes time in terms of calling for proposals. So these centers that have been set up by the Salvation Army, as well as Inspire Pacific, hopefully the ministry will be able to see if we can repurpose that funding that is there to invest in current centers that have been set up. And these centers obviously need the expertise, like child psychologists, child psychiatrists, which we lack in Fiji. When we are taking our street children and they need assistance in terms of rehabilitation, whether it's drugs or other issues, there are no professionals to tend to them. So unfortunately, children get turned away from the stress management ward at the CWM hospital. They only deal with adults, as well as St. Giles Hospital. So this is a huge gap that needs to be filled to have our professionals working with children. So that is taking some time. So hopefully we'll be able to do that in this budget year, so that we do not waste that money. So if we are to invest in current centers like the Salvation Army Center, Inspire Pacific, and we thank Inspire Pacific, who've just completed that camp, that 5-week camp that I talked about yesterday. I thank the government of China for funding that to begin. But of course, we as government have a responsibility. There's very little money that is usually committed to children, and the need to look after our children. So this needs to change. And that's something that, as we put these programs together, working with our partners, that we hopefully see a bigger budget commitment. We have begun with our Department of Children, and as the programs roll out and we submit that in our budget submissions, hopefully in the coming year, that we will be able to see more committed to our Department of Children. But I want to thank UNICEF. UNICEF has come on board for technical support. They come in and they ensure to help our CSOs that are doing this, that the centers are safe for children. They meet certain minimum standards, working with the Department of Children. So thank you to UNICEF. The task force dealing with street kids are now looking at a wider range of issues, like children living with HIV, children living with drugs, and other social issues that they're facing. So we invite relevant partners and others that want to partner with the ministry and these organizations. Please come on board and work with us. We are hoping to then set up also in the Western Division and North Division same kinds of programs. I want to thank our churches as well. The Fiji Council of Churches, they continue to give us space, facilities to use for our programs. I want to thank also our line ministries, the Office of the Prime Minister, the Fiji Police Force, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Rural Development, ETLK Affairs, local government, youth and sports, justice, education, and of course employment. Thank you for your continued support as we work together. It will take line ministries to come together to get this done, but they're usually tapping into their operational budget to assist us. So hopefully we see more of that in the next coming budget. Honorable Speakers, we need to build capacity moving forward. It is really to help our children to be able to reintegrate back into families that they feel care for. It's not necessarily their parents or their immediate family. They may choose another family member to be with, and that is what we are working with them. So we do really listen to our children. Again, I thank the Honourable Member for the question. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you,